Welcome to Podnutz, Computer Repair Podcast, episode number 114. I'm your host, Jeff Halash. I'm joined today by Robert Reichner and Troy Anderson from RepairShopr.com. How you doing, guys?
Hey, doing good.
Yeah, great.
Awesome. Great to have you guys on the show. Appreciate you coming back and sharing with us about your awesome product. I did an interview with these guys over on episode number 89. If you want to check that out, we went into detail about their product and what it was and how it works. So if you guys want to start off the show, let's go ahead and start off and just talk about what RepairShopr is and what it can do for computer repair techs out there.
Sure. Well, RepairShopr was originally started by Troy, and I think in that previous episode we covered a little bit of the history, so we can get back into that if you want. But the basic idea is to have an all-in-one platform for computer repair. So many people end up having to be split between tons of different tools. You've got your QuickBooks over here, maybe you're tracking things in Excel, your tickets, or maybe you've got a separate ticket system, you might have a separate calendar system. And our vision really is to bring all of those things together so that you have a completely integrated experience when things flow in all the way from your website. They pass through your ticket system. You can do all of the invoicing. That talks to your accounting system if you have one. You can do all of the scheduling through Google Calendar. All the communication is integrated, so you don't have to bounce back and forth between email. You can even send SMS right from the platform. And so you can kind of, from the first customer contact all the way through marketing, you're able to be in one place, right? And that means that your techs don't have to learn tons of different tools. Everything's in this all-in-one system.
Oh, that's a great explanation. And I'm going to tell you, even I am a single user, a single tech, and it has been invaluable to me, if that's a word, to have a product like this that I can actually have everything all in one place, because I'm one of those people as a technician that I want to have everything in one place so I'm not having to jump around. And this is one of the only products out there for the computer repair field, for what I do, that met all my needs. And I'll be honest with you, I've been working with your product for over 6 months, and there are still things that I don't use in there that I know I absolutely need to as I grow and move down the road. So I'm excited to see some of the things that you guys are always adding things and integrating things. So you talked a little bit about QuickBooks. You talked a little bit about some of the different apps and stuff, calendaring and all that kind of stuff. What are some of the other things that besides that? I know you guys had something new that came here in the last month or so. What types of things can are other other apps that you can integrate into the system that work for RepairShopr or with RepairShopr?
Yeah, we've got a whole app center, in fact, and Troy loves to integrate tools. It's like one of his favorite things. So he'll even on the weekend, just for fun, write me and say, "Hey, I just popped this into the system." So some of the things that we've had there for a while are like tools like Toggle, which is a time tracker. They basically allow you to track your time from your phone, and that integrates into the system so that you can use that for billing hours and things like that. We've got, you mentioned QuickBooks. We also have Xero, which is an accounting system used all over the world, kind of a competitor to QuickBooks. Some people prefer that. We've got TeamViewer, and we're looking at more tools like that. So I know a lot of people use things like Screen Connect or LogMeIn, so we're looking at incorporating those as well. And then the big one that we're really proud of, actually, and we had lots of requests over time from our community, is we just integrated GFI Max, which is now called Max Focus.
Okay.
And, for people who are looking to cover that spectrum from break fix to MSP, now again, one tool, you can live in one system and you can manage all of that, and I think it's pretty powerful.
So a lot of people that use Max Focus or the old GFI, how does this integrate with RepairShopr? As far as, what does it actually do for you? Because you can look at a lot of these tools and you understand, okay, a QuickBooks app, that integrates with RepairShopr. That's a great tool because, hey, when I invoice a customer or take a payment, all that stuff's going into my QuickBooks and it's being logged right there. Or you take a thing like RepairTech, and you're doing your virus removal, tune-up, and all the reports go into basically the customer database that you've already made in RepairShopr. What actually does MaxFocus do now that it's integrated into RepairShopr?
Yeah, so it actually took me a little bit to figure that out. I was an MSP for a couple years, and we used Kaseya, and I couldn't really see a natural integration point just at first glance, but with talking to some people, with trying it out, I installed it, put it on a bunch of computers. We kind of realized that the check system that kind of creates alerts and the remote control would be really good to have that data in RepairShopr. We also have an asset management system, so you can have all your customers and attach assets to them, meaning track all their computers, your computer repair shops. So maybe you have a business with 10 computers and a couple servers. When you connect that, your RepairShopr account to your MaxFocus account, the servers and computers and all the attributes on them stay up to date in your RepairShopr account. So when you're making a ticket to work on this server, you can actually attach it to the right server, and the right specs are there. And then you don't have to go over to MaxFocus to click the Take Control button. That we bring that right over to RepairShopr. So you're working on your ticket in RepairShopr. You're doing your billing in RepairShopr. You can click from RepairShopr. Boom, take control. You're in the take control. You don't have to go out and look up that asset. Also, you can get a lot of alerts going sometimes. Some things cascade and create a bunch of alerts. In RepairShopr, you can check all, dismiss. It dismisses them all from your MaxFocus. So a couple little optimization tools like that. We're going to create some rules so that certain types of checks automatically create tickets, that sort of thing. So there's some really good integration points in there. There isn't a whole lot more than that from what we can see. But.
No, I'll tell you what. See, this is one of the things I'm talking about. I've been working with this product. I know you guys have had this out for over a month, and I use some of the GFI stuff, and I never had enough time to sit here and look. Okay, what does this do for the system? And the way you just explained it, any time that I can stay inside one system and do everything from there, man, I am happy. That just makes me, because that is, to me, that's the bee's knees or whatever is. I just love it, because that way I don't have to leave my system. I can do everything right there. And that's one of the things that I really like about RepairShopr is that even when I'm setting up a customer, and I'll be honest with you, I'm one of the techs that I had a hard time when I used to do paperwork of, keeping the paperwork, updating it, all that kind of stuff. So I had to force myself when I started using RepairShopr to actually stop and put in the customer and put in the customer's asset with all the serial. I had to force myself to do that because it's not something that I was used to. I was a tech that would, here, sign this paper, fill out your information, give me the computer. I threw it on my bench, started working on it, and went away. And what I started to figure out, even as a one-man shop, especially as a one-man shop sometimes, I got so busy that I would look at my Excel spreadsheet, 3 weeks later, and go, oh my gosh, I don't have anything in there. Or I missed 4 different things. And now I got to go back and figure out, I got to take the time, try to find those 4 different things, input them into my Excel spreadsheet, and all this. It was nuts.
And
so
it's low value, right? Like spending all of your time tracking stuff. It's actually, no one pays you to do that, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So your real work is doing getting it on the bench and turning it around for the customer. And so you should have a tool that basically you do it once, and then it talks to all of your other systems. And you can basically, focus really on the work, the repair work or whatever it is, and on the customer relationship. So at the end of the day, what we feel strongest about is that you should have a tool that actually allows you to build that relationship with the customer. And that varies how that looks for each person or each business. But communication can be a huge part of that. And so making all of that communication seamless and allowing you to basically do data entry once and then have that flow through whatever aspect it is, whether it's tickets or invoices or, again, marketing or follow-ups, that should all just be done once so that you can focus on the more important aspects of your business.
Well, and one of the things that my customers have said to me as of late, as I've been using RepairShopr, is they said, as I'm working on their computer and I actually put something in there and say, I'm at this step of the process, I'm working on your computer, instead of calling the customer, I send them a quick little email. Sometimes they don't respond. Sometimes they respond, hey, that's fine, no problem, whatever. And it's nice to have that integrated all into RepairShopr, and then everything is right in there under that customer. I don't have to go searching in 4 different places to try to find that. So it's definitely a wonderful system.
Yeah, and we've added it was actually our Christmas feature. Troy released it on Christmas as a little gift to the community. But we've added more of those kinds of tools now to our leads section. So if somebody comes to you from your website or they send you an email, that'll come in, and you can actually have that two-way communication before you've even created a ticket. The other thing is that some people use those services that'll bring you work or get you leads. And so now you can actually take those and convert that to, say, an existing customer. So we allow you to change that up. So that's another feature that we've added recently.
That's great. So that has to do with the marketer aspect of RepairShopr?
It sort of.
Okay.
Like if you send an email with marketer and someone replies to it, you can have that go into your leads, and then, but more, if you've got an email like support@yourbusiness.com and you put that on your business card so that people aren't bombarding your personal email. When someone you haven't heard from in a year sends an email there, those pop into the leads module. You get an indicator, hey, there's something here that needs your attention, and now you've got two-way email on that. So you can just go in there and hit reply, and it stays threaded in there, sort of like another ticket.
Okay,
this is
great.
This is someone that maybe wants to do a repair, but you don't want it quite in your ticket system. So you can go in there, have a little email communication, then say, attach to this customer, convert to ticket. 2 clicks, boom, it's a ticket now with all that history brought over with it.
So you've got all their information and everything right there, and you can, that's great. So again, another way to integrate into the system to make it an easier process from getting to the customer just checking you out to actually turning it into an actual ticket and getting that customer taken care of.
Yeah.
Great.
You're pointing, Jeff, by the way, to one of the challenges for us with the business or with the system is that we really think that you should be able to come in and set this up in under an hour, basically. That's kind of our goal. And so we make the setup really easy. But then, as you say, there's tons of features, there's tons of power under the hood. And so one of the things we've been talking about a lot for 2015 is ways to surface that for the community, so that as your business grows, maybe you start out as a one-man shop, but you're growing, your customer base is growing. Maybe at some point you decide you want to add a tech, and we want to make sure that you know about these tools, and it's easy for you to find them and to set them up. So I think we'll be looking at things like maybe feature of the week, or some kind of in-app notification, so that people know as we're adding more and more of this power, because it's really important. So the balance between simplicity, ease of setup, and then the depth, which so many of our customers, they really do use every single feature in the system.
That's great. And I'm a advocate of when you're small, set everything up so that as you're growing, you're not having to go back in and relearn everything again. So to have a powerful tool that I can actually take the time and effort to set up right now, and so as I'm growing, and if I do add text in and stuff like that, it's not that big of a shock to the system, because I think that's where a lot of people get as they're growing their business. You start bringing in those employees or those, even subcontractors or whatever, that becomes a whole different ballgame. So I think that the tools like this will make it an easier transition, because you've already got everything set in place.
Yeah. By the way, I think just to hit on, you asked at the beginning about some of the integrations. We have, in addition, we have obviously like payment processors. So we have Authorize.net and Stripe and PayPal. So those are included. And then for these businesses, I think the repair tools are a huge part. So Repair Tech, which is an excellent tool. We really love those guys, and then D7, a lot of people use that as well. So all of those, as you're using those reports flow directly onto the tickets, and so you've got that data right there, again, in the system, not bouncing back and forth. And it's been really great to work with them.
That's excellent. So yeah, I'm looking at it, going back to some of the apps. Now the Toggle app I was not aware of. That is genius to me that you can have it, because I was like, well, I wonder how that works. But you guys explained it, that Toggle you can basically have on your phone and use it as a time recording, so that you know how long you've been on the customer job or how long your employee's been on the customer job, and it automatically puts into RepairShopr. Now something like I'm looking at add a wiki to your RepairShopr account. What is that?
We built a lightweight little wiki right into the app, and it works kind of like MediaWiki from Wikipedia. So you can enable a link to automatically be on all your customers' pages. So I think out of the box, when you look at a customer page, you've got like a notes section, and you can add custom fields to your customers. If you go turn on the wiki, there will be a wiki link on every customer. You click that, you're on this customer wiki page. Now you can dump structured data you store about your customer there. So in our MSP shop, we had a MediaWiki instance, one of those PHP sites running on a server somewhere.
Okay.
Page for every customer, and you'd go into the customer, and we'd list router IPs, passwords, ISP info, ISP account numbers. And adding a custom field for all these things would be kind of cumbersome, and some of the things you'd need on some customers, but not others. A wiki's really good for that. You can just pop over there, hit edit, paste in a bunch of relevant credentials. Maybe there's a door access code or whatever the thing is for this customer that you need to track. And then,
wow, that's genius.
We've got it's got Markdown, so some formatting stuff built right in. So just really light, built right in. You can click a button, and there's automatically a link on all your customers to go off to this really rich page.
Very cool. So yeah, you guys already explained what Xero was. That's basically another another kind of accounting software that you can use that's integrated into RepairShopr. Obviously, you've got the Google calendars and Outlook calendars that you can integrate, which I use. That's another valuable tool for me. You've got TeamViewer. Now I'm looking at, what's the one with the P? Get notified instantly of important events in RepairShopr to your devices.
This was a fun project I did. So I'm kind of a hardware geek. I like Arduinos and all that kind of stuff. I got a Pebble watch when it came out. I thought it would be just earth-shattering if there was a watch app that could keep you up to date on how your business was doing. So I went one weekend and worked up that integration. So Pushover is a push notification app that gives you a nice API. So we integrate our notification center to Pushover. You go get a Pushover account. You can install this on your iPhone, Android, Pebble Watch, whatever. So now when a notification is triggered in RepairShopr, it's pushing to those devices live instantly, and you get a little alert on your watch. So that was the idea. But you get push notifications on Androids, tablets, desktop computers, all these things with Pushover, and that's a free app. You can go get an API key, pop it in there, and boom, you're getting live push notifications for anything we've got in our notification center.
So we've got a notification center. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that, but let's say that you want to be notified every time you get one of these new leads, right? That somebody sends you an email and it pops in there. Or maybe you want to know every time, maybe you've got techs that work with you, and they write notes to like hidden comments on tickets, and that's actually a way of communicating to the team, and you want to find out if they're telling you something that maybe there's a problem on a ticket or something. So those things can literally, right, pop up on your phone by you creating a notification using Pushover and the notification system. Slack is the same thing. So Slack is a tool we use internally, and it's like somewhere between the old like Messenger and IRC, and now it's actually supposed to be an email killer a little bit. So teams use it instead of creating long email chains. Like you can create rooms and stuff like that in there. And this will allow you, same thing, you can create a room and have those kinds of notifications from RepairShopr show up in Slack. So it's a way of kind of seeing a stream of activity in this app. And the thing is, with these kinds of things, like we're working on, whether it's max focus or new features, like we just added ticket grouping, we can talk about that. These are kinds of things that we love RepairShopr, and we love this community, and this stuff happens like for fun for us on the weekends. So Troy will have like a couple spare hours on a Saturday morning, and it's maybe not on our roadmap. It's not something that we've set up and we say, hey, this is the next thing we're working on. But he'll like say, hey, wow, there's an API for this, and let me see if I can do it. And he'll wire it up in like a couple hours. And so it's kind of like I don't know, like a little present or something, or a gift that we kind of do. So sometimes people are like, why are you prioritizing this? And it's not quite how it happens. It's more like we're just passionate about this, and so sometimes these fun little things will pop in there that way.
No, that's a great way to be. Yeah, definitely be passionate about your product, because you're going to get that much more out of it. So, and I'm looking now. Somebody got excited about the wholesale gadget parts, because I guess they use them, and they didn't realize that they were integrated with RepairShopr until him and I were looking at it the other night. So what is that?
Yeah, so we were just talking to those guys. That's actually a little bit similar, but I think there's an interesting possibility maybe down the road to have more of those parts suppliers, whether it's them or eTech Parts or whoever you buy your parts from, having those catalogs and the pricing and stuff more available in the app. And so we've talked to a bunch of people about how to do that, but they happen to have like structured XML, and so we pop that in there quick. So if you want to order parts, you can actually do a search of the catalog for wholesale gadget parts, pull it up, and it'll add like the URL and the price and that kind of thing. We don't currently pull in like if you have a custom pricing, that kind of thing. That might be something down the road. I think longer term it would also be great to actually be able to just place the orders. If we were able to integrate with some of the systems of suppliers, so that right from RepairShopr you could create that order. And I know that people order from, they typically have multiple relationships because maybe something's not available, particularly if you're doing cell phone repair and that kind of thing.
Right.
So it's actually a surprisingly complex area, and that was just like a first kind of test that we did. But yeah, it's great to have that in there.
Great. And then so I'm just going through a couple more things here. You've got Click It All, or Click It Tell. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it's a basically it looks like an SMS something or other.
Yeah, we're in. I actually haven't done a recent count, but we're in 20 or 30 countries around the world, and so for some countries it's helpful to have a slightly different SMS system. We currently integrate with Twilio. That's like the native one. Click It Tell allows you to kind of determine what phone number the customer sees and things like that. And so there's a little bit more control, and sometimes the pricing can be better internationally. And so that's an integration for that purpose.
Excellent. And then how does Dropbox integrate with RepairShopr? I was always curious. I just have never checked it out yet, to be honest with you.
We had dreams of bigger things, but early it was, in our first few months being live, we had a couple outages with our platform provider. They just had an unlucky couple months. So we started out like, let's just link Dropbox, and every time an invoice or ticket is touched, we'll put a copy of the PDF in your Dropbox. Then if for whatever reason you can't get to us, like it's sitting there in your Dropbox. It's kind of like a backup system. So that's why and how it was built, and it hasn't really had any maintenance for a little while. I don't think a ton of people use it, so it's there, and I think it probably still does that purpose, but it's not as exciting as we think it could be. We've got some other ideas about, maybe when you attach files to tickets, they automatically go there, and these sorts of things have been talked about. But
the thing is that when you integrate with Google Cloud Print, you get a free integration with Google Drive. And so one of the things you can do, so by the way, Google Cloud Print is, maybe I'll let Troy talk about that in a second. It's crazy powerful if you have a shop, if you have like a storefront.
Okay.
But you get a free integration with Google Drive, and what that you basically every single document you create in RepairShopr, meaning a ticket or an intake form or an invoice or even your receipts, anything that has a PDF, you can turn that on and that'll automatically save to Google Drive. So if you want like a complete history of every single document you've ever created in RepairShopr, you can do that, and you never have to do anything. It just happens in the background. And so I think the Dropbox integration could work in the same way. We've since, we've done pretty amazing things actually on the server infrastructure side, and so our uptimes are kind of crazy, actually, crazy good. And we just did an upgrade to Ruby, which is the language we use, and so our speeds on the app actually pretty much just doubled. So those kinds of things are a little less important from there, but I think it's really nice to be able to just go in and find a PDF of something remotely if you need to, or whatever. So it's there if you want it.
Very cool. And yeah, let's go ahead, and I think there's just a couple more things. We kind of touched on the pay services. I know some people have been asking if you guys are going to actually integrate any more different types of pay services, and I don't know if you guys, I kind of talked to you before about that. What was your thought process on, as far as pulling in other pay services?
It's so challenging. I can't. It's funny. If we wanted to, we could probably stop building any more features in RepairShopr and spend all of our time integrating, like, payment gateways and stuff like that. There's hundreds, maybe even thousands of them, and I know so many people use different things, and so it's a really challenging area. We've ended up sticking with Authorize.net for the time being, just because it's so universal. Like, they'll support pretty much every merchant. I think there are other interesting possibilities. Sometimes the documentation with, we looked at the QuickBooks payments at some point, and like, it actually was broken, and there was no support. We tried so hard. So there's interesting stuff like that, and sometimes the APIs are not friendly. Like, they don't actually want you to integrate because they're trying to own that business too. So so it's a challenging area. One thing we would like to provide is really the full spectrum, so that you could have your merchant and gateway, all those pieces. Actually, we could offer that relationship, and that would integrate directly into RepairShopr. So that's something we're looking at as a possibility too.
Okay, I just have one more question because this is a particular issue that has come up for me, and I do use Stripe, and I do have it integrated now into RepairShopr. I noticed one thing that Stripe won't do, the integrated version won't do recurring payments. Is that on kind of on their end, as far as not opening up the API enough for you guys to be able to do that, or what does that have to do with?
It should do recurring payments.
We added that, I want to say three or 4 months ago. So if that's not working for you, I'd love to hear about it. I feel like we do have people who are using it.
Okay, so I will definitely check into that, because it's been a while since I've looked at it. So we'll definitely go back to that. Okay, so you can do the recurring payments right from there. That's great.
Yes, and I think that's a little on us. So this is one of the things we're going to be working on this year. Is when we make that kind of update, we put it on our blog. But unless you're like a dedicated blog reader, it's probably easy to miss. So we want to get that in the app, so that when we're building all this great stuff, we want everybody to know. So yeah.
No, that would be great. Yeah, I'm definitely not your typical blog reader, just because, quite honestly, I just don't have the time. I'm too busy.
We should surface that in this really easy way. So it's one of our highest priority things.
Excellent. All right, so let's talk about, I don't know if we went into too much detail, but let's talk a little bit about the Google Print, or the Cloud Print. What does that do, Troy?
Yeah, so this was something that I kind of stumbled on a few years ago, and I was kind of shocked that no one's using it. But when you've got a desktop POS, it knows about, you've got your Windows computer sitting there, you've got your point of sale station all set up and you've got your printers sitting next to it, it knows about your printers. You tell it which printer you do for what, and then when you're like checking someone out and you swipe their credit card and it's time for a receipt to come, those POSs just spit out a receipt. You don't have to usually go click print, select the printer, and hit OK. That's like an extra step. No web apps are doing that. I've never seen one do it. But Cloud Print gives you the ability to do that. So we did that. We said, hey, let's try this out. So you have to go to Cloud Print, register with them, give them access to your local printers, and then they'll do that through Chrome, through like a background process in Chrome, or you can install a Windows service that connects to it. And now your printer is persistently connected to Google's cloud. Now you use the OAuth flow, that typical like authorize an app to give us permission to your printers. Use that.
Right.
Now we know about your printers. Now you can tell which print job to go to which printer. Now when you create a ticket, we can automatically just send a PDF to Google's cloud and it comes out your printer. And there's a little delay, 3-4 seconds I'd say is the average. But you know, you swipe someone's credit card, they sign, hit next, and 3 or 4 seconds later a receipt just comes out. That's pretty cool. So all that time you can save opening a PDF, clicking the print icon, selecting, you know, this is going to the label printer, this is going to the receipt printer, this is going to the full-size printer. You can skip all that. Just set it up once, and the print jobs just come out the right place. You know, you can have multiple registers in a shop, all go to different printers. Like, we added all that. So that's, I think it's super exciting. It works really good. Sometimes, you know, the 4 seconds isn't the best response time for a print job, but I'd say, you know, in the shop that I was running, that we built this as an internal tool for, when I was sitting there ringing someone up and it took 4 seconds, I didn't mind, and I think most people don't mind.
Right.
That's so, we have like a new possible approach that we're kind of in the beta stage with. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So Star contacted us. Star Micronics. They make good printers. They contacted us because their printers weren't working so well with Cloud Print, and they were like, "Hey, we've got this new feature called Web Print where you can send a print job as text straight to our printer's IP address, and it'll just spit it out. So you can do this from JavaScript. So now you can basically do what Cloud Print's doing client side in the browser directly to the printer without going out to the internet through a cloud and back in, and those print jobs print in like a few milliseconds. So
it's crazy.
So I made a video of this on our Facebook page, but basically the second we trigger the job, the printer's already starting like a tenth of a second later, and those things print super fast. So these receipts are just popping out instantly.
And they're releasing label printers as well with this web print capability. So we're pretty excited about this. We think this is, the kind of the next phase of things, and it'll be great to see how that works out.
Now let me ask you a question. So for a shop like myself, who I don't run a traditional POS system, is there any way, because I do use Google Cloud Print here, is there a way that my receipts can be printed, or do you have to have it hooked up to a point of sale system?
So just having the printers is all you need. You can go into the App Center, click on Cloud Print, hook up your printers, and you can print the receipts, the labels, to whichever printer you want. So you can definitely do it all either manually by clicking the PDF, clicking print, or Cloud Print with any type of printer. So you can send the receipts to a full-size. Now the format's probably, are you asking about the formatting? 'Cause right now our receipts are meant to be this narrow little page.
No, that's fine. I'm actually interested in the automation because, again, anything.
We can totally use that. We are, like, you basically have a POS. RepairShopr is a POS. You don't need any special integrated monitor with a swiper on the side and an attached scanner. You don't need any of that. The Cloud Print is totally available to you. And if you're doing a remote job, but maybe you want to keep have a paper copy, it can automatically print at home to your printer when you finish that job. That's available to you. So.
Excellent. No, that answers my question, because again, it's one of those things I looked at. I think I started to set it up, and I never went that extra step. So no, that's great. I think again, any way you can automate things is awesome to me. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, and then we're going to go into we'll go into the next section, but the postal service. I noticed that was fairly new.
That's been there a while, but maybe a little bit out of sight. But
Okay, I'm a little slow.
It's at the bottom of the page. A lot of people will snail mail invoices. Maybe you've got a business customer that doesn't want their invoices emailed, or you try emailing them invoices and you notice they don't get paid, but when you snail mail them something, it does get paid. That's still really common. So, we found this service that lets us send a PDF to them, and boom, they snail mail it out. It'll stick your logo on it, your business name, and the return address area. It'll go to your customer. Super reliable. So yeah, that's available. You have to pay for the postage. We don't mark that up.
That's great, though. I mean, if you think about a lot of times in today's day and age, I would imagine that businesses are going to be more likely to open a piece of mail versus get lost in the hundreds to thousands of emails that a business might get, and your invoice might get lost in that whole process.
I think it's super common. From our business customers, maybe half of them, if we sent snail mail, would be more likely to be paid faster. So.
Right. No, excellent.
We have a whole team of people in RepairShopr who are just sitting there licking envelopes and putting them on all day.
That's awesome.
No, I'm kidding. It's a service, obviously. So you buy credits for that, and there's a little markup over the price of a stamp, but for that service, I think if the improved turnaround time on those payments, that can easily make that negligible. So.
Absolutely, and I would think that instead of you printing it out, licking an envelope. I mean, yeah, I guess if you got the time to do that, but I would much rather push a button and go, hey,
sure,
send this out to my customer, and it's one less step that I have to sit there and, hey, did I get that done? Because again, I'm inside RepairShopr, I've got it done in all one shot. Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of things for the audio portion of this particular podcast. And one of the things, if you guys want to hear a little bit of history from Robert and Troy, you can go back and listen to episode number 89. And they go into kind of how they got started in the business and in their whole story, and then they talk about RepairShopr from there. What we're going to do is we're actually going to do what I guess I'm going to call a hybrid. And since I like to put out audio podcasts, but now for their particular product, they have, obviously it's a piece of software. And so what I want to do is I'm going to do a walkthrough with them. We're going to continue on here, and I'm going to shorten the audio podcast down just the audio portion, and you guys can go check the link out over on my YouTube channel where I will have this whole video posted, and you can go from there and kind of continue on and see what we're actually talking about. So I think if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and get that screen share up and going, and then we'll go from there and we'll get it going.
Cool. Yes.
All right, so let me click on that. All right, and I've got you.
Great.
Okay, so now obviously the process of setting this up is fairly simple. I mean, we're talking about what an email address, a payment form, all that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, when you get started, and we can replicate that a little bit here. You'll go through an initial settings wizard. And this will ask for a lot of your basic information. So company information. We ask for that because this will allow you to, right from the start, have all of your invoices and all of your tickets. It'll have your company information. It'll have your logo, all that kind of thing here. This is, by the way, we're looking at a demo account. So just so you know, this is all going to be kind of fake data. You can choose what kind of business you are. We tend to recommend the computer repair. These other options, they might hide a couple things. Most managed like MSPs don't need a POS, for instance. So we'll hide that tab for you. You can put in your tax rate, that kind of thing. And then add some of the other users so that they can get an email to get them started. So that's kind of the first step here. And then as a second step, I think we might have it. Let's see, onboarding checklist. This will show in the app, and this is kind of just a list of what are some of the first things you want to do. So you want to complete that wizard, add your users, if there are other people on your team. If you're using QuickBooks, you can do that. import your customers. So we have an entire customer import module that I can show you in a second. Maybe I'll just show you that really quick here. If you come down to the customer import here, and if you're importing, you'll want to do that from your accounting system. But otherwise, there's a CSV that you can quickly upload. Maybe you've got all your customers in Excel. Maybe you're coming from another system that you dump to a CSV. You can import that very quickly. And one of the cool things, once you do that, you'll actually be able to look at a map that shows the distribution of all of your customers. So that's pretty fun. That just basically comes for free.
Oh, very nice. I'm going to tell you guys, when unfortunately, because I was still using a paper system and I didn't have my customers in an Excel spreadsheet, I had to load in 350 customers all by myself. So
Wow.
having the CSV there, if you're definitely using Excel, that's definitely, or some sort of, software like that, to be able to put that information in there is awesome.
Yeah, and hopefully, that's a one-time investment for you, and then going forward, like, you've got all of that, and however you want to use it, for marketing campaigns through our marketer module or whatever, all of that's in the system. You can import inventory, and inventory basically is your services and also products. Maybe you keep hard drives on hand, or if you're doing some cell phone repair, you keep screens on hand, that kind of thing. All of that will go in there. Setting up Google Calendar and Cloud Prints. You can, with Marketer, with really just a single click of a button, you can enable one of these campaigns. So you're doing automated follow-ups with your customers. And the idea there is maybe 2 weeks or 2 days after, this will send them a note just saying, hey, how did that repair go? Is everything working okay? The 90-day follow-up is intended more. Maybe you did a repair. Maybe you did like a laptop screen repair, and you check in with them 2 weeks later, or sorry, 90 days later, and they say, yeah, that computer's great, but I think there's a virus on my daughter's computer. So suddenly you're generating jobs you wouldn't have had otherwise. And we really see the whole system as a combination both of not only managing your workflow and increasing your efficiency, but growing the business, actually creating more jobs for you, and reaching out to more customers as well.
Excellent.
And then I think there's one last step here. Let me take a look really quick. Yeah, so you can customize all of your templates. And the template system is an area we definitely want to improve. Right now, you kind of have to be a bit knowledgeable with HTML to customize these. I think there's a great opportunity for us to improve the design on these a bit, and then maybe make it easier to edit as well. So that's a real priority for us. It's actually it's a problem that's not solved really on the web. There's the dream of like WYSIWYG has not arrived, even though we're 20 years into the internet or whatever it is. It remains a challenge, and even generating PDFs from HTML remains challenging. So it's surprisingly difficult, which is frustrating both for us, but also for some of the users sometimes. So we'll be looking at that in the coming year as well. But you can go in here and actually very easily come to your invoice and just click edit and paste in whatever the terms are for your invoice policy, your repair policy. Just paste in plain text there, click update template, and then all of your invoices are going to reflect that. So you can see that from that checklist that I just ran through in a couple minutes, you can really be set up and have a fully functioning system with all of your shop information, all of your customers, all of your services and inventory set up in definitely under an hour.
Yes, I think, to be honest with you, I think when I first set it up, I think it was way less than an hour for me to get all that stuff set up. And I basically did go through the whole checklist except for the connect to QuickBooks. So that was the only thing that because I at this point I'm still not using QuickBooks, but everything else I had set up, and it was fairly simple to do. I was even smart enough to figure it out. So if that's any indication.
No, I think we get people who install, like, create an account and are literally using the system the same day. And I really do think that a lot of this you can do in like 20 minutes. And then there's always more available that you can build on as you get more familiar with the system and want more power.
Absolutely. All right, so that's kind of the setup process. Now let's go into actually let's talk about creating a customer and see
Sure.
what that looks like.
Okay, so one of the things that we're adding, by the way, I'll just mention this since we're looking at it, is we're adding kind of dashboards to different areas. So if we look at invoices here, you can see that a quick overview of like what's going on. So your open invoices, your overdue, what's been paid in the last 30 days, that kind of thing. And so I think that we'll be adding that kind of a section to the customers and to different areas of the app. But currently this is going to be an overview. It's an alphabetical list. You can sort it by who was created most recently as well if you want to see some of your more recent customers. So creating a new customer, you can do from here. It's always available. There's this like quick access thing up here where you can create a new customer, ticket, check-in, invoice, and estimate. So.
Oh, very cool. I didn't even realize that was there. Okay, very cool.
Yeah, there's just a lot of things like that. So okay, so yeah, I'll go ahead and say new customer here, and maybe I'll go ahead and enter some data. You can choose what kind of phone number you're tracking.
I do actually like now. I noticed when I first started with RepairShopr, the phone number thing was kind of confusing a little bit because I think there was a couple of boxes where you could put those in, and one was for SMS and the other was for just a regular phone, contact phone number. But I think you guys have simplified it a lot more, where you basically put the phone number in and you can use that for the SMS or just the follow up, getting a hold of the customer.
Totally. We did a major upgrade, in fact, and it was a really big project. But the phone number system, I think, works like infinitely better now, and we're pretty proud of that. Here you can say, where did your customers come from? If you choose customer, that's kind of a magic one where you can then say, hey, look, I'm actually going to look at my customer list and say, oh, actually, you know what? This is a referral from my friend Jane. And so you can track that kind of thing, and there's a report in the report section where you can see the referrals and revenue associated with referrals from different places.
Excellent.
And we just added some coolness here where we're actually looking up addresses now from Google. So you can quickly populate all of that, and that data is structured properly.
Oh, I was going to tell you guys that was a genius feature to me, because when that first started happening, I'm a big Google Maps person, and when it was started to pre-populate the address, you don't know how often I actually had to go in, because sometimes people would give me a wrong area code, or not area code, but a zip code or whatever. So I had to go in, or I couldn't read the writing and couldn't understand what they're, because I was still doing paper stuff. I couldn't understand what street they were actually talking about, so I had to go into Google Maps. Now I just start to type it out, and it automatically populates the address, and I go, oh, yeah, that's the one, because that's my city and zip code and all that. So that's great.
Yeah, that was a fun one, and that was one that was just suggested by our community just a couple months ago. So we can't take all the credit for coming up with that idea, but it's really cool to see it.
Great feature.
Shake.
Yeah, so the genius part, we can take credit for building it, but so many of these ideas come from suggestions from our users, and that's so important to us, and we really rely on that to guide our development.
Excellent. Okay.
So at that point then, actually I'll just show you, we've got these additional features here as well. So if you want to notify someone specific about invoices, or you've got default invoice terms maybe for a business customer, or you want to use your custom fields. So these are all custom fields that you create yourself. Troy was talking about the wiki versus this kind of more structured data approach where you can put in specific information about a customer. All of that's available here too.
Excellent. Okay, so yeah, we'll definitely go into how the custom fields are created, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I'll say create customer and ticket, and then this is going to bring you then to the new ticket page.
Right. And this is normally what I do when I first start off setting up a customer. I get all that basic information in some form or fashion and get it in the system.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe you want to give me an example of a problem that you might be working on.
Oh, a computer doesn't start up.
Okay.
That's like nine times out of 10, normally what I get. So it won't turn on.
So yeah, we've got a customizable list here. This is you can do this in the admin section. You can choose what these are, and it gives you a way of tracking things. Priority is something that's optional. You can turn it on or not. And then we've got this canned response system. So if you click here, you can pre-write a lot of these messages, and it's going to depend on what kind of business you have. If you've got like a shop, actually a storefront, then maybe you'll say, hi, thanks for coming in, we'll take a look at your computer and let you know what the issue is. Maybe this is actually something you don't want to email. So we value the communication piece highly, but different businesses don't want to send email to their customers. So we've spent a lot of time making it so you have a lot of control over what is sent to your customers, and if you don't want anything to go to them, that's always available to you.
Now, let me ask you a question on the canned responses. Do you guys have any pre-canned responses that are set up in there, or is this just kind of something that the customer fills out for themselves? Or, I mean, the person that's using RepairShopr fills out for themselves?
The user currently fills that out. I think that's a good idea. It might be helpful if we had some kind of starter suggestions there for standard messages you could include there, right?
Well, that's what I was thinking, because when I first started doing this, I just kind of copied what I did above, basically did the description and kind of put in the complete problem description. But I actually like some of the canned responses that you guys have that you're sending off as that first initial email. So it would be nice to have some sort of template to go, hey, it gives you an idea, or you can kind of change it a little bit, but it gives you a base to start from.
That's a great suggestion. I really like that. So again, these kinds of ideas are so valuable to us. It really helps us just improve things over time.
Great.
Yeah. So you can choose the tech that this is assigned to if you have more than one person in your business. You can attach an asset. So you can create an asset or attach an asset here.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go through, because I didn't understand even what asset meant.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And so if you click on the asset, basically you can set up what your, what type of computer and stuff you're working on. So I was able to finally figure it out, but it wasn't very intuitive for me to, oh, okay, this is where I'm going to put the computer. And I don't know how long you guys have had this in the system, but I've been using it for months now. So.
Sure. Hey, say, are you able to see the pop-up, the window I just opened?
Nope. Huh? Now I got myself.
Okay, I think I need to do a quick change here. Yeah, let me just switch to this thing. So this is the pop-up that happens when you say choose an asset. So in this case, I can say it's a computer, for instance. Are you seeing this now?
Yep, I'm seeing it. Yep.
Okay, great. And so what kind of computer are you working on? Just give me an example.
Oh, Dell.
Okay, so it's a Dell, and we'll put in the serial number.
And I'll tell you, one of the things with the serial numbers, I didn't realize this, but somebody told me, they kind of chastised me and said I should actually be putting in the serial numbers so that somebody doesn't bring the same type of computer back with a different serial number and try to get free work from you. So
it can be really helpful, right, to have that history and to be able to track that. Absolutely. So then these are, in the asset system, you can create whatever you track here. So this is all going to be up to you, and we just have an example here. So I'll go ahead and create the asset here, and then I'm going to have to switch back to that previous screen just a second.
So for a lot of those, so what I'll do is I put in the name of the computer, the model number, obviously the serial number. I will put in if it's a Dell, I'll put in the whatever I can't remember the name of the code, but that they have on there, so you can actually look it up on Dell's website very, very easily.
Right.
And then once that's attached, so then I have that information. So if the customer ever comes back, I've already got all their information on that particular computer. I don't have to sit there and go through the process again. So it's nice having those assets attached.
Yeah, that's right, and you get a whole history then of all of the tickets and all of the invoices related to a specific asset. So again, this is that idea that there's huge power in creating that data, and then you start developing a history. You don't have to re-enter any of that again in the future. What you'll see in the future when you come to this customer is you'll have a list of all of their assets, and with a single click, you can just add it over here to that ticket.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely, I definitely love that feature about, RepairShopr.
You can add additional emails. Oh, if you've got an appointment associated with that, you can create that here. So you can set a time and date, whatever the duration, all of that kind of thing. You can choose who is going to attend from if you've got multiple techs. You can even view the calendar. And I think one of the things we're excited for in the new year is building out the calendar feature, improving the actual layout of it, and making that a little bit more powerful too.
Great.
Yeah. And then we have custom fields. So let's say this is a virus removal, for instance, and you can have a checklist that you run through, and whatever those steps are for your business for different kinds of repairs that you do.
Now, before you do that, can you run through, or maybe after you create it, can you run through actually how you create those custom fields? Because it took me a while to figure out actually how to do that, and I've watched some of your guys' videos, and you walked me through the process, so it was kind of cool. Because one of the things I do is I put in the operating system that the computer is. I put in hey, did they drop off a charger with the laptop? Those types of things I have in my custom fields.
Yeah, definitely. So all of that stuff is always available here in our help section. So, let's say you've got a question about custom fields. Let's see what comes up if I search for that. Yeah, so can I capture more information on the customers, and then can I capture more information on my ticket? So this is ticket custom fields. And this article then is going to give you a video on how all of that works. So the knowledge base at this point, we've built it out quite extensively to walk you through a lot of these things. I'll just show you quickly. You can either come here to this section from this button right here, or it's also in the admin section under tickets. But here, this is going to be each of my different types of custom fields. So as I mentioned, I have one for virus removal, and if I want to manage fields, this is where I'm going to set up, I want these to be the steps. And I can add new fields, and that's going to allow you to create maybe a drop-down that has multiple, like you can select from a list, or it's going to be a checkbox, or it's going to be a field or a note or something like that.
Excellent. Yeah, and that's the video I watched. So definitely, if you want to figure out how to do that, definitely check out their knowledge base. And the video walks you exactly through how to do it, and it's just up to your imagination what types of things you want to have on on your invoice or on your ticket system as you're taking in the customer's computer.
It's true. There's really the sky's the limit, so to speak, on that.
Very cool.
So yeah, at this point we've created a ticket. Now this is going to take me to a intake form. So if you do have if you are meeting with customers in person, this gives you a form where you can include the terms for your repair. Maybe you've got like a warranty policy, a parts ordering policy, a pickup policy. They can actually sign this and commit to that in advance, and they can sign on the screen, or however you want to do that. You can also just print this off as a PDF. This is optional, so if you're not meeting with people in this way, you don't need to use that step. But you're going to get a PDF of that that's then available to you or to the customer with their signature.
Very cool. Yeah, and I actually do use that feature, because once my customers sign in using a paper copy, the next time I go to this form and basically have them sign it on my tablet. And it's amazing how well the finger, or even if you're on a computer at a customer's house, you can basically go to this page and have them take their mouse and sign it. And it looks pretty good, believe it or not. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, I think that kind of thing builds confidence for people as well.
Yep, absolutely.
So this is the ticket form. There's probably a lot to dive in. Jeff, I'm having the feeling we might need to do a follow-up on this. And
that would be fine. So I mean, basically we've talked about a ticket, or creating a customer, creating that ticket, and then we're kind of at the ticket point. If you're getting a little bit short on time there, we can definitely move this to another and maybe pick up from this point on and continue on and just add a second part.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Maybe what we can do is I'll just finish a standard cycle with the system, and then I think it might be valuable to have kind of start from here, and we can go into a lot of the detail that follows from here as well. You can see that this is, you've got ticket information, an optional progress bar. Some people really love to use this, so you're working through the steps and you can track where you're at. You can see this is that toggle integration, or if you want to use the time tracker. Down here, that asset that you created with the serial number is going to show up. These are your steps that you can come in and say, oh, I've done these two. Maybe you're handing this off to another tech, and so they know where in the process you are. That shows up right here. And then this is the communication section where you can send a message to the customer, update them through the process, create private comments on the ticket and all of that. So maybe should I just finish out, maybe go through the kind of invoicing and payment piece?
Sure, yeah, that sounds good, and we can get back into the other things at a later date.
Okay, yeah, so here if I go to add view charges on ticket, this is going to pull right from your inventory, and so maybe there's going to be some labor on this. What do you think you would charge in this case? Actually, I'll just leave it at this. So add item to ticket. Do you think that there would be any hardware or anything that you'd have on this kind of a job?
Well, let's say it was a hard drive.
Okay,
hard drive was bad.
Hard drive in here. Yeah, okay.
Oh, I'm good.
Interesting. I don't have a hard drive in my inventory, but we'll just say that. So add that. And then what's cool is that you're adding this, as you do the work, you're adding this to the ticket. When you're done with all of the work and you've tracked your time and all of that, with a single click you just say make invoice, and all of that is automatically carried over to the invoice. So here you can see now that's added here, and there's no additional data entry. So you're basically, again, the idea is you enter things once and it flows all the way from the ticket to the invoice. This is going to show here. You can email this and even add a note for the customer before that email goes out, or if they're going to come and pick it up, when they come in, you'll just come to the payment form here, and then depending on how you're taking payments, we do integrate with. Whoops! It looks like I have to open my register. This is if you've got a register going on. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'll skip through this.
Now through the payment portal there. Now what I use is I've hooked my Stripe account up to this so that basically I can take a payment using Stripe through RepairShopr.
Totally, yeah. So you'll enter that. You just enter that card into RepairShopr. We communicate with Stripe. They handle all the PCI compliance. And in my case, I'm going to say offline credit card. You could also, let's say you're using Square, for instance. That works great. You can just say offline credit card as well. Or if you're doing cash, all of those options are available. Say take payments. You'll get a confirmation that they can sign or not. And then the last step here is to say, hey, I want to go ahead and close that ticket.
Right. So it closes the ticket out, and then you're all set and everything's resolved.
Exactly. And the closing ticket is, the idea there is that you've got an overview here of all of your currently open jobs, and so it's going to pull it off of that list. One thing maybe I'll just show, we're pretty happy about this. We just added a new feature where you can group things. So maybe you want to group it by, let's just say by tech, and then also by the status of the job. So I can group tickets, and what this is going to show me is, okay, so this person, they've got one in progress and one in invoiced. This other tech, they've got 2 new and a couple in progress. And so it breaks it up now, so you've got these different sections.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's a great way to look at it, yeah.
And all of that stuff lives in the URL. So if this is the standard view you want for this, you can actually just bookmark that and always look at your ticket list in that format.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, I think we have covered a ton of information, and yeah, it's definitely a good starting to at least how to get your, how to get the information, how to get set up, how to get your customer, customer input, information there. And this definitely will get you started in using RepairShopr in a short period of time. And hopefully this stuff has kind of helped everybody, look at how they might be able to use this for their business.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I'd love to, maybe do a follow-up session at some point and dive a little bit deeper into some of the additional things you've mentioned that you keep discovering over time.
Excellent. No, that would be awesome. Definitely. Well, I appreciate your guys' time today, and just coming out and sharing with us, and I thank you for doing this hybrid approach of a audio podcast turning into a screen share video, regular video podcast, and we'll definitely have this up on my YouTube channel. If people want to find information about you guys, where's the best place to go?
Yeah, the best place to go is to RepairShopr.com, and you can create an account there. And then you can also email us at help@RepairShopr.com, and that's the best way to get in touch with us. We can answer questions. We've got a really great customer service team. We're routinely praised on how we handle all that, and we love being in touch, and we love hearing suggestions as well. We can't build everything immediately. We wish we could, but you can see that we're constantly launching new stuff.
Absolutely. I love products that are constantly growing. Well, again, appreciate you guys coming on the show and sharing with us today. And yeah, you guys definitely check them out over at RepairShopr.com, an excellent computer repair tool to automate your invoicing, customer management, all that kind of stuff. So great tool. If you guys want to find me, you can find me over on the Google Plus at Jeffery Halash or Twitter at TechNutPC. And you can leave a voicemail for us at 1-888-697-0162. If you'd like to feature your product or service on this show, please email me at podnutz@podnutz.com. If you guys could, please leave us a rating and review over on iTunes. You guys, too, you can help support the Podnutz Network. The next time you're shopping on Amazon, go to podnutz.com/Amazon. I want to thank everyone for listening and subscribing to the show. We'll see you next time on Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast.